Hello, this is Jackie from Alchemical Cosplay, and today I'm going to be showing you a bit about Pfaff's performance icon machine. This is the sewing only machine in their icon line. There's also the creative icon, which does embroidery, but as I am primarily a sewist, I chose the performance icon. So this machine is just beautiful. It's got 12 inches of free arm space from the needle to the edge here, so that's way more space than any machine I've worked with. I think it's the biggest in the industry, and it's also incredibly well lit. The entire bed has LEDs from here to here, and then over here as well, so you can see every inch of your work as you're sewing along. One of the great things also, which I'm going to do right now, is that you can dim the lights, which is kind of important when you're trying to take a video of it. So I'm going to pop into machine settings. As you can see, you can change the background images, you could do all sorts of cool things, but what I'm going to do is just take those lights down a little bit so we can see what we're talking about. So the machine itself is a solid piece of engineering. It has an aluminum base and it sews incredibly smoothly. I'll show you in a minute how it sews, but first I'm going to run you through a few more things, including this amazing touchscreen. It's a 10-inch touchscreen and it functions just like a tablet or a smartphone, so it's very intuitive. When I first started playing with the machine, I wasn't confused about where functions or settings would be. It's all very user-friendly for anyone that has a smartphone or has used a tablet or just has used technology in the past 5 years, basically. This is exactly what you think it would be. One of my favorite things is if you do get stuck, it has a little question mark here, and you can hit that to highlight it, and then literally click on anything on the screen to ask about it. So if I wanted to know what the Stitch Edit button did, just hit the question mark, push Stitch Edit, and it tells you right here, you can touch to open Stitch Edit for adjusting selected stitch. And then you could read more about it. This machine has the full user's guide installed in the touchscreen. So anything you need to know about is right there. If I've never used this machine before, I'd want to know a bit more about it, and this makes it incredibly easy. There's a little book up here, and this brings you into the Help Center. So your Help Center has all sorts of different items you'd want to know about. It's got the complete user's manual loaded, getting started, techniques and tutorials, sewing instructions, and a stabilizer guide. So the first thing I wanted to do was get started. It has amazing little videos on how to thread your machine. So it has step-by-step instructions that you can scroll through, but it also has fully animated videos showing exactly how to do it. So it wants you to lift the thread guide, the spool pins, load them on there, and then you can toggle between step-by-step mode or full mode, so I just switched to full mode. Now this will run through all the steps of the process, because I'm pretty visual. I like to see exactly what I'm doing. I don't like to read about it very much. So now you can see it's got a little animation running through every single step of how to thread your machine. That's pretty incredible. I don't have to mess with the user guide, like pulling out, flipping through pages. Just boom, there it is. And anything I have questions on, you can hit the little green question mark and then ask about it. So that's getting started. I've already run my thread down through the guide. So now one of my favorite things to do is the automatic threader. So I've used those little fiddly automatic threaders before, but this one, you really just push a button and it threads your machine for you. So that's the automatic needle threader. And the other fantastic thing is you can thread a bobbin without ever having to unthread your machine. There's literally its own bobbin threading guide. And open up my little storage unit, fish out a new bobbin. These are also new and improved, so the bobbins are bigger. I can't remember by which percent, but it's significant. So I've got this threaded through. I'll flip the little switch. My hand's probably in the way. And already it pops up that it's going to wind you a bobbin. So all I have to do is hit play. I'm going to pause so I can trim the tail. And then off it goes, winding up my bobbin. And it has a sensor in it, so it knows when it's full, it'll stop, and then we're good to go. There we have it. Fully threaded bobbin, and I didn't have to unthread my machine. Pretty super. Okay, so I actually already have a bobbin threaded in there. I just wanted to show you that awesome thing. So I'm going to go back to start sewing. I've just picked a straight old stitch. Straight stitch. So put my material under there and just hit go. Got my foot on the pedal and it'll just sew away. Easy as that. If I want it to stop with the needle in the down position, there's a button for that. And when you stop, it automatically lifts the presser foot to a pivot position. So with this feature selected, all I have to do is stop, just take my foot off the pedal, and it keeps the needle down and pivots. One of the defining features of a Pfaff sewing machine is the IDT system. Now this is an integrated walking foot. There it is disengaged. You can see it has a tiny foot with some notches on it, same as the feed dogs down below. And when engaged, it sits under your presser foot and it guides your fabric along from the top as well as the bottom. So this allows you to control difficult fabrics such as stretch or bias cut or matching plaids or designs without even thinking about it. So I'm going to start sewing really slowly, and you can see it just walking along, guiding my fabric from the top as well as from underneath. So I wanted to show you how the Sensormatic buttonhole foot works. So for Pfaff machines, you literally just snap off your feet. There's this great integrated storage. You put your feet in. There's even one in the back. So this is where I'm keeping my buttonhole foot. So it has a little plug that you insert in the back of the machine. So first, I'm going to snap this on. You line it up, put it down, put it up. Easy as that. This connects in the back here. Doing that blind, but there we go. We've got that connected. So on the screen, which you can't see right now, I've selected a really beautiful buttonhole, keyhole shape. You can choose in Stitch Edit the size of your buttonhole. So you can measure your button and you just type in the size of it. I've got a 20 mm buttonhole selected. Got my foot lined up. And it tells you on the screen which direction it sews the buttonhole in. So I'm going to hit go. And it's off to the races. at that. It's a really beautiful button. This machine makes attaching your buttons very easy too. There's a stitch that you can select to tell it how many times you want it to tie the button. I like to check to make sure the needle's going through the hole before I tell it to go ahead. It's going to make 6 passes, then tie it off. You rotate the button, lower your feed dog again, check, we're good. Tell it to go ahead, and then you'll cut that thread. And your button's attached. This is going to save me so much time. I'm very excited about this feature. The performance icon has a huge amount of both utility and decorative stitches. So I've just gone into the selection menu, and here's a large view of all the types of stitches you have. There's utility, overcast, buttonholes, eyelets and darning, and then you go into quilting, needle art, where you have cross stitches, needlework stitches, some scalloped edges, including satin elements. So this is amazing for decorative elements of cosplay like trim, custom lace and borders, just all those little details that really make a costume come to life. You have here, you've got decorative stitches, miscellaneous, which has really cool stuff like whales and kangaroos. As if those weren't fun enough, there's fun stitches that have stars, anchors, all sorts of great stuff. Monogram, and my personal favorite is the letter stitches. So we're going to go back a step. We're going to go into my sew net, and in here I've saved a few things I've been playing around with, including a stitch that says Alchemical Cosplay. Ooh. So this can be stitched as a single one. Right here you have the stitch repeat function, and right now it's got a single stitch program selected. You can also take that away and it will repeat it forever. So you could do a ribbon, you could do labels, or just a border of your name, or whatever you want. You can pick the whale and it will repeat the whale forever. If you click single stitch, it'll just make one of it. So I was thinking that this is, it's fun, but I think I want to add a little bit more to it. So I'm going to go into Sequence Creator, and here I can go back to the stitch I just had from my sew net, load that, and then I want to do something even more fun. So I'm going to go to some decorative stitches. There's some beautiful flowers in there. I'm going to make this a little bigger so I can see the flowers better, because there's one down here that I really like, number 25. So I just clicked that. I'm going to shut this so you can see it added the flower to the end of my Alchemical Cosplay. I want one at the front too, I think. So I'm going to go move my cursor to the top. You can use these arrows, or you can select anywhere in the sequence. So go right to the top and go back and I'll find my flower again, number 25. But it's backwards right now. That's no problem. Go to Stitch Settings. And then there's these little icons here that will mirror it. So that mirrors it vertically. Not what I want. I want to mirror it horizontally. So that's totally what I want. So now close Stitch Settings so you can see the whole thing. There's a flower, Alchemical Cosplay, flower. So that looks really cool. So I'm going to say OK. And so here we go. We've got Alchemical Cosplay. And it does repeat forever now. So I'm going to hit Stitch Repeat, hit Single Stitch Program, close that. So now you can see, oops, stop it. Oops, that it stops. It's trying to zoom out, but it doesn't want to at the moment. So You can also see there's a few things up here under recommendations. It recommends the foot 2A, which is a little bit bigger for a fancy font like this rather than just a straight stitch. And this icon here, the little square, means it's recommending you use a filler. Excuse me, a stabilizer. You want a stabilizer behind your embroidery, obviously. So you can hit the question mark if I didn't know what that meant. It tells you that it recommends a stabilizer, and you can also read about how to use different stabilizers in the stabilizer guide if I clicked on that. I don't feel like doing that right now, so I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to go ahead and prepare my fabric and get ready to sew this up. Right, so now that we've got our machine set up, we've got the recommended presser foot and also some stabilizer, since it recommends stabilizer for embroidery stitches like this. And then all that's left is to tell it to go ahead. Here's the final result. Considering this is a polyester charmeuse, I think that handled it really, really well. And it turned out beautifully. So I'm going to go give it a press and then it's good to go. One of the greatest strengths of this machine is the literal strength of the machine. As a cosplayer, I tend to throw some really interesting and challenging materials at my machine as I learn new techniques or try new things, and that includes working with leather, heavy denim, warbler, EVA foam. So this is just a canvas, a cotton canvas. So I'm going to sew a seam. I'm using a top stitching thread. At the top, we're going to sew a nice seam at the end there. I'm going to increase the stitch length a bit. The maximum stitch length for this machine is 5 millimeters, so that's pretty good. So I'm just creating a flat felt stitch. So now we've got 3 layers of fabric here. I'm going to go ahead and sew on through this. Longer stitch length. It does great. It loves it. It's sewing really smoothly. So now, say we want to hem this. So maybe I turn it over twice. No, be a little tidier than that. There we go. Tidy it up. Fold it over. So now you've got a hem for some denim pants, for instance. So we're going to go ahead, sew along. This part's no problem. But usually when you get to this join, it causes a little bit of a problem. But that's absolutely no issue at all for this machine. So I tend to work with a lot of leather. It's a great material to use, but machines tend to have a bit of a problem with it sometimes. With Pfaff's IDT foot and the extra piercing power of this machine, there's absolutely no issue at all. Another great thing is you can lift the presser foot higher. It also lowers the feed dogs, and this allows you to insert thick materials into your machine really easily. So lower the foot, and you can hear it kind of really punching through. As it goes. And I'm going to increase this all the way to 5. Get a really nice long stitch length at the end there. And a really clean, beautiful stitch from the front and back. One minor hiccup, I think that's where I stopped and started again. Here, we'll just run one clean seam. And it really is like punching through. This is probably 1.3 mm thickness leather, doubled. So that's almost 2 and change. It's significant. It makes a really beautiful seam without having to skive it or anything. So how about Warbler? Why would you sew Warbler? Well, I like to attach Velcro to a Warbler piece and then mount it to itself, because Warbler adheres to itself much better than many of the adhesives I've found. So when I was having problems with my Velcro attachments becoming undone, I tried stitching it to a piece of Warbler, and then I will heat infuse to itself. So as you can see, it has absolutely no problem sewing through Warbler. One thing I would recommend though is using a natural fiber like cotton or silk even, because polyester is a plastic, so if you're heating your Warbler, this thread could melt, so make sure you use a natural thread. Even after torturing this machine with some Warbler, all we have to do to go to sewing velvet and poly chiffon is change the needle to something more appropriate. Keep these little goons together, and then we'll go ahead and we'll tie on. Finish it off, and you have a beautiful seam without any shifting. I didn't even pin that, and it's beautiful. All it needs is a press, and you're in business. You can go from sewing Warbler, leather, to combining some really slippery things all in one machine. So that's why I'm really excited to be working with the performance icon for my cosplay this year, because I really think it's going to up my game, give me some really great finishing options, keep my sewing looking really clean, and I'm super excited to try out some of the decorative stitches and finishing like buttonholes, adding buttons. I'm gonna put buttons on everything now. It's gonna be great. Thanks for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll do my best to address them. And I'll be doing some more tutorials and obviously sewing a bunch of projects over the summer. So let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like to see. Thanks so much. Bye!